Hey everyone, my name is Ben Horvath. I'm in my third year of biology at the University of Windsor. So the great thing about the University of Windsor is that it offers a great opportunity to explore different fields in biology, whether in the health or the ecology route. Also with this, in your first 2 years, you're going to be taking very similar courses to other programs such as biochemistry, health and biomed. So it's very easy to transition if you want to tailor your career in a certain direction. Now, one of the great things about the 1 to 17 school student to faculty ratio at the university is you get to interact with professors on a one-to-one basis more often. So when you have trouble with a certain class, you get to go to the instructor and get that professional level, and they typically have 10 or more years minimum of experience, which is really great. So again, with the low student to faculty ratio, you get to work on very hands-on projects. And for one of my courses that I'm taking right now, we're actually going to be publishing a academic article reviewing the current status of sharks and rays in the world. I find it to be pretty cool because just dealing with this, with climate change and everything that's going on in the world, conservation is very essential to this progress. So the culture of science at UWindsor is similar to many other cultures at universities. It is competitive because you have people who need good grades to get into professional school. However, there's always that network of people who are supported and are like-minded, that although they may want to strive for good grades, they don't want to be as cutthroat as some other individuals. So the teaching styles of the first 2 years at the university are pretty similar. You have lectures, which are 2 to 3 times a week, and then you have the supplementary lab section, which is typically 3 hours per class. When you go into your third and fourth year, however, you're going to be working on more projects and more team collaborative efforts, and you're going to be working on academic articles. So you're transitioning from the soft skills down to the hard skills of how to properly read an academic article in an efficient manner. It's fairly fast-paced just because you have all of your classes, but then a lot of people are involved with extracurriculars, intramurals, just different things to balance the work-life schedule. Some of the skill sets and mindsets that I believe you should have would just be to think critically. What I mean by think critically is to take the skills that you've learned, take the concepts that you've learned in class, and take a look around you and see how biology and all these concepts connect to the real world. One of the other things I highly recommend is to just be organized. There's various ways that you've probably heard. Again, having an agenda or a Google Calendar, whatever works. It doesn't need to be one specific way. Just making sure that you write down all of the assignments and midterms coming up. So in my first year, I experienced a bit of imposter syndrome, and especially in the field of science, it's fairly common. Now, you just have to remember that everybody got into the same program, so you generally have around the same average. So you're fully capable of competing with other individuals, but also don't get so hard on yourself if you do not meet your expected grade requirements in your first year. Mainly for medical schools, they typically look at your first 2 years, your 2 best years of university. So you don't have to worry that much about first year and some grades. Just make sure that you transition the amount of studying skills and just going forward with progressing on your efficiency. So before you get into the program, I want you to consider some of the applications that biology has. So if you're interested in medicine, healthcare administration, more ecology relating to migration, conservation, things like that, those are the type of careers that you're going to be involved with. So in first and second year, you're not going to be reading a lot of academic papers, but in the field of biology, you're going to be sifting through a consistent amount of papers. Now, as you go into third and fourth year, you're going to be reading a lot more academic articles. So I want you to keep in mind that if you do not like reading, biology may not be the program for you, but it never hurts to develop that skill where you're diving deep into the primary articles of what they found and taking the information and translating it to assignments and to the public. So I believe the grade point average to get into the biology program is around a 75. However, that's the minimum requirement, so I highly recommend that you shoot above that. One great thing about the University of Windsor is you don't necessarily have to take a calculus course. However, with that being said, I would still recommend you to take a calculus in high school, because once you take that transition into university, there's going to be a calculus class you're going to need to complete in your first year. And personally speaking, I didn't take a calculus class in high school, so I struggled a bit in my first year, but it's all good now. So similar to a lot of other science programs, I highly recommend that you take biology, chemistry, physics, and calculus. All of these courses are going to be covered in your first year of university, and if you have background information on it, I feel like it'll make the transition to university even more smooth. So some of the fields, as I've previously mentioned, that students can go into is professional school, so medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, etc. Grad school, where they either take a master's or even take an MBA, so you can go and work in healthcare administration, or you can work in industry right out of undergrad. So although an internship is typically not as common in science as like business or engineering per se, I highly recommend that you try and get an internship. The University of Windsor has an optional course where you can do an internship, but I would highly recommend that you go out to a certain company. Although it may seem out of your reach, you never know unless you try, because that gives you the best perspective on how that certain career would look like without fully committing to it as a full-time job. And employers really like this because you get first-hand experience into the real world, and you already get to establish connections with professionals who are already in that industry that you're interested in. So one of the tips I would give my first year self is to get on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is very undervalued, I believe, right now, because there's a lot of people on there similar to Facebook, but now it's Facebook on a professional level, where you can connect with individuals with some really cool positions. Individuals that may have graduated from the University of Windsor that are now a president for a clean energy company. So for those individuals who are considering on staying home for school, I was raised in Windsor, went to grade school, high school here. So I thought it would just be good for me to just stay at home, because I was still unsure with what I really wanted to do. And I just felt a bit more comfortable with taking one step at a time. So the party culture at Windsor is fairly decent. We have a couple of clubs downtown that are pretty nice. And also, being a border city of Windsor, you get to go to the States and start visiting clubs down there when you're 21. Also, Detroit is developing very quickly. There's a lot of job opportunities, but even recreationally, there's a lot of things to do there. Especially in the winter, people like to go down there near the ice rink and do a lot of winter festivities that they have there. Also with first year, highly recommend that you get involved in some extracurricular activities, but don't get too involved. Burnout is another big factor in science, so you just want to make sure that you balance the work and the life equally. So one tip I always recommend to any incoming university student is your program does not define you. And although you're in a certain program such as biology, you can have so many other passions, and those passions can even lead to career opportunities per se. Just ensure that the clubs that you're participating in are clubs that you're really passionate about. So the way I suggest making friends in your first couple of years is in your first 2 weeks of university is to sit in a new seat every single class and start talking to the people next to you. Just saying, hey, how are you? Where are you from? Oh, you're from this town? Oh, I'm from here. And then just talk about interests, and then it snowballs. So some of the support resources we have at the university is pretty diverse. We have a lot, and a great thing about it is a good majority of them are included at the bottom of your syllabi, so you can't really avoid not knowing them. So we have the Peer Support Center. We have the My SSP program for mental health support. We have the Walk Safe program. So if you're studying late at night, you can have somebody walk you back to your car and just ensure that safe environment is being held. We have jack.org for mental health. We have financial literacy events. We have the Women's Center. We have Afrofest. We have the Black Caucus. We have the Bright Pass for yoga, a food pantry, different tutoring sessions, a bus pass for benefits, and a health and dental plan. Another great thing about the University of Windsor is we have this one program called Students Offering Support, which is a tutoring program that before every midterm and every exam, they have a 3-hour fully comprehensive tutoring session that covers all of the material required for that test. So again, some of my tips for giving my first year self, just before I'm starting a program: be organized, please be organized. Take advantage of your university's career services, because there's individuals out there who have full-time jobs that are for your own success. Also, have some fun. Don't take the program that seriously, because you need to take some breaks, and academics is just a small fraction of that university life. Also, a very big thing that I would recommend to any student that's starting off in university is become financially literate. Becoming financially literate and knowing how to take care of your money properly is a big thing, because eventually when you get into personal finance and you start saving for a home, eventually there's going to be a lot of money that you've had to save, and investing might help you with that process. Just my last thing that I want to leave you with is to just be confident. Now, a lot of university students may have some self-doubt as soon as they start off. Now, although you may have your off and on days of if you're feeling confident or not, it's okay. We're all human, and the main point of emphasis is if you just try to be the best version of yourself and find how you can be the most comfortable with yourself, I believe you can go so far in life. Thank you to How To University for the opportunity. And to those students who may or may not be going to the University of Windsor, I wish you the best in your future endeavors. I'll include my social media links down below, or my LinkedIn if you just want to connect. And yeah, take care.